Hello, this is CAMERO again. Wanted to continue on with our educational stories, and as an artist I want to express my current project called the CAMEROs. Did I Do You Wrong? That's the story. So I've been writing this script. It's intended for television, but could become a feature. So my intent was to expose an American family beginning in the time frame of the Spanish colony or Spanish era here in California. From the discovery of California to the people in Central America, how they initially first colonized the Philippines, and then those Filipinos that were colonized, that were once called Luzon Indios, became cooperated with the Spanish Armada and Spanish galleons to be involved in exploring many territories for Mexico, or the New Spain they called it. And Central America was the root source for developing or building Spanish galleons that would travel back and forth to the Philippines, as well as eventually to Northern California. There was a time when Our Lady of Guadalupe, the apparition at the Tepeyac Hill, Mexico City, that there was a request to build churches in this new world, the new earth of Europeans. But we Indio have been here, so the claim for Columbus to say he discovered America is only from the point of view of Europeans. But from the point of view of Asians and Native Americans, we were already here, and we were called Indios, in God, or Indians. So centuries have been untold, our story from this part of the west coast of the United States of America. For the case of Filipinos, they were called Luzon Indios. And when that era came, when the U.S. took over the United States part of California, many of the U.S. military in the 1800s, in the 1840s, when the gold rush came, made an implementation of President Andrew Jackson's Indian Removal Act, which was initially when the Cherokees were moved to Oklahoma. And from that act, years later, was enforced to remove many Indios and put them on reservations. Now, one of the generals that captured Geronimo, one of those generals, I believe maybe Geronimo gave him an insight that many Apaches, Indios, were converted into Catholics and hid in the missions of California, missions in Philippines, all these Catholic missions. A lot of the Apaches hid, and the general that captured Geronimo went on to pursue the royal families of these Apaches warriors to the Philippines. But he got resistance from a group called the Katipunans that had been centuries fighting against the Spanish since the time of Diego Silang. So he encountered a group called the Katipunans, and there the general that captured Geronimo, he died in the Philippines fighting. But eventually the U.S. took over the Philippines and became a U.S. colony from 1890s to 1946. Now in the 40s and 30s, many Luzon Indios or Filipinos were already here in the U.S. as Luzon Indios. And they basically either worked with the U.S. military or defended the U.S. military. From the Spanish Navy, they moved into the U.S. Navy. And the transition was quick when the U.S. military took over California. But sadly, in the 40s, the families between the Philippines and the U.S. were divided up. A 1946 ruling um, was not, it was only for the benefit of the rich Filipinos or the only few um, governing Filipinos, but it was not for the entire country, as well as not entire the families in the California and the families in the Philippines. So the division was created in 1946. But today, we have, of course, have Facebook now, so we bring back and unify families that were divided since 1946. Now that law should have never occurred in the United States of America. But during that time, 1940s, there was a conflict with the Zoot Zooters that were followers of Tiburcio Vasquez, what you call the Robin Hood of Hispanics, Latinos, and Filipinos here in the California. So the bias of the U.S. towards Luzon Indios was tremendously not wanting the Philippines to be part of the U.S. It was again a ethnic cleansing part of the U.S. military from Kit Carson, General Stockton, and General Fremont. The very interesting part is there are many Filipinos in the city of Carson, the city of Stockton, and the city of Fremont. Could it be that those Luzon Indios or indigenous Californians were utilized slave labor-wise by the U.S. military to serve under those generals and leaders of the U.S. Military cavalry, Kit Carson, General Fremont, General Stockton? Again, in the Stockton era, there were many, no Filipinos allowed. They were only put in a certain corner of the city, like the reservations. And Luzon Indios are basically Aztecs or Utu Aztecans. They are indigenous. So be proud that you have indigenous California blood, Mexico, California blood. So unifying today's, my goal today is, to be involved in Hollywood here, to tell these stories, because I'm a descendant, and the history and the archives are actually in the La Plaza de la Vera, which is the first town built in the city of Los Angeles via the Mission San Gabriel. So it is important that I, as a storyteller and a descendant of the CAMERO family, I call myself today CAMERO, in my journey here as a storyteller and a very spirited, godly loving Indio here in California, Southern California, Hollywood, Tinseltown. So again, I hope you understand what I'm trying to say, that we request your support and donations or effort to help us here in Hollywood. Again, my fellow filmmakers and storytellers there in the Philippines, in Manila, as well as here in California and the United States, we need your support in not just writing and telling the stories, but we also need your support financially and help us develop a new Hollywood operating system 2.0, because the current Hollywood operating system 1.0 was only developed and built for European Americans, and as we observe, like people like Tyler Perry, they are forced to develop their own, like Oprah Winfrey, so that they could tell their Afro-American black stories. But we Indios, we have to tell our stories. So I really, the message of equality, diversity from Hollywood, California, as red faces, white faces, and blue or black faces. But we have to equalize and tell our stories and be, a true American scene. Thank you for your support. Again, this is CAMERO. Peace.